Are you constantly overwhelmed by stress, distraction, or emotional chaos? You're not alone. In this video, we uncover 9 timeless Stoic lessons that can help you take back control, not of the world, but of your mind. Drawn from the wisdom of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, these principles offer more than theory. They are practical tools for developing inner strength, calm, and clarity in the middle of modern-day noise. If you've been searching for a way to become more focused, emotionally resilient, and aligned with your purpose, this is where your journey begins. Stick with us until the end to unlock the mindset that made emperors and philosophers thrive in adversity. Stop multitasking, master focus to regain inner peace. At some point, we have all tried to do everything at once. Answer emails while listening to a podcast. Scroll through social media while eating, juggle 3 conversations while walking. Our culture calls this multitasking, but what it really is scattered living. And over time, it costs us more than just mistakes and stress, it robs us of clarity, purpose, and inner freedom. Seneca warned us. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. This is not just poetic language. It is a warning. When your mind is fragmented, when your attention is pulled in 10 directions, you do not live more, you live less. The Stoics believed in deliberate action, in the power of focusing entirely on the task in front of you. They believed that the quality of your attention shapes the quality of your life. In the modern world, we often confuse productivity with busyness. But Stoicism asks something deeper: are you present? Are you truly engaged in what you are doing, or are you constantly escaping into the next thing? The next distraction. Focus is not about becoming a machine. It is about reclaiming your mind from chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman. Do what is in front of you with purpose, with clarity, with dignity." This practice is not only about being efficient, it is about being whole. When we give ourselves fully to one task, we begin to reconnect with who we are and what matters most. Single tasking is not weakness. It is discipline. It is choosing depth over speed, peace over pressure. It is a quiet rebellion against a world that celebrates overstimulation. And in that rebellion, we discover clarity. With clarity comes better decisions. With better decisions comes a life aligned with your values. If your goal is to live with purpose, to think clearly, to free yourself from the trap of reaction, then begin with this: focus. Let the noise fall away. Let your mind return home. Control emotions. True strength lies in a calm inner state. There will always be moments when emotions rise like a storm. Anger, fear, frustration, sadness. They come without warning and threaten to sweep us away. In those moments, we often feel powerless. Like passengers in a vehicle we do not control. But the Stoics believed otherwise. They taught that while we cannot always stop the storm, we can train ourselves not to be carried away by it. Seneca once wrote that all the greatest torments come from an undisciplined mind. This is not about rejecting emotion or pretending not to feel. Stoicism does not teach us to suppress our humanity. Instead, it asks us to understand it deeply. The true goal is not emotional silence but emotional clarity. To see clearly what we feel, why we feel it, and how best to respond. When a person reacts without reflection, they are not free. They are a servant to impulse. Epictetus said that no man is free who is not master of himself. Mastery begins with awareness. The moment we pause and examine the emotion before acting, we reclaim a part of our freedom. That pause is not weakness. It is the beginning of strength. Modern life pushes us to respond instantly. Reply now. React now. But Stoicism invites us to delay reaction just long enough to introduce reason. That gap is sacred. In that space, we ask, Is this anger helping me? Is this fear justified? Am I aligning with my values, or escaping discomfort? Controlling emotion is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming wise. The Stoics saw emotion as natural, but they believed that reason should guide it. Not the other way around. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to meet every event with patience and composure. Not because he lacked feeling, but because he understood that his power was in how he chose to respond. When we develop this inner calm, we make better decisions. We protect our relationships. We live with more dignity. The world will always try to shake us. But the more we train ourselves to remain steady inside, the less control the world has over us. That is strength. That is freedom. Prepare for the worst, build mental readiness for any crisis. Life is full of uncertainties. A job loss. A breakup. A sudden illness. These things do not ask for permission before they enter our lives. They arrive unannounced, often when we least expect them. And when they do, we are either prepared, or we are thrown into panic. The Stoics understood this. That is why Seneca urged us to rehearse adversity in our minds. Not to dwell in fear, but to sharpen our resilience. He called this practice premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. The idea is simple but powerful. Imagine the worst. Not to scare yourself, but to train yourself. Just as an athlete prepares for the toughest conditions, we must prepare our minds for hardship. By doing this, we reduce the shock when misfortune strikes. We react not with helplessness, but with clarity. Seneca did not mean we should live in constant dread. Instead, he meant that facing potential loss mentally allows us to remain steady when reality tests us. If we imagine losing a job, we can begin updating our resume, building new skills, or preparing savings. If we imagine losing someone we love, we can deepen our appreciation of the time we have. This mental exercise transforms anxiety into preparation. Modern life tells us to avoid negative thinking. But Stoicism offers a deeper truth. It is not about being pessimistic. It is about being prepared. When you have walked through a crisis in your mind, you are less likely to freeze when it comes for real. You respond with intention, not instinct. You begin to act instead of react. The Stoics believe that fear shrinks in the presence of action. And action begins with readiness. When we take time to confront potential difficulties before they arrive, we step into life with greater confidence. We accept that pain may come, but we refuse to be its victim. That is the power of mental rehearsal. Preparing for the worst is not about expecting disaster. It is about building strength before you need it. It is about making peace with uncertainty. The more we practice facing hardship in our minds, the less hold fear has on us. In that space, courage begins to grow. Practice discomfort, train willpower through deliberate challenges. Most people avoid discomfort at all costs. We seek comfort, ease, convenience. The modern world is designed to remove friction. Everything is faster, softer, simpler. But the Stoics believed that growth begins where comfort ends. Seneca wrote that difficulties strengthen the mind just as labor strengthens the body. To grow resilient, we must practice doing hard things on purpose. This idea is not about punishing yourself. It is about building inner strength by choosing challenge before life forces it upon you. Just like muscles grow when pushed, our character develops when tested. By voluntarily stepping into discomfort, we increase our tolerance for hardship. We learn that discomfort does not destroy us. It reveals us. Public speaking, cold showers, waking early, fasting, difficult conversations. These are examples of voluntary hardship. They are not grand gestures. They are intentional acts that stretch our willpower and sharpen our discipline. Each time you endure discomfort by choice, you prove to yourself that you are not ruled by fear or laziness. You are building a self that can be trusted when things get tough. Stoicism teaches that the obstacle is the way. And if that is true, we must stop running from obstacles and begin walking toward them. When you voluntarily face something difficult, your mind no longer sees it as a threat but as training. And when the real challenges of life come, you have already rehearsed your response. This practice also rewires our relationship with comfort. Instead of worshipping ease, we begin to respect effort. We stop asking for life to be easy and start asking ourselves to be stronger. This mindset does not just help in crisis. It helps every day. It keeps us from becoming soft. In a world that offers constant escape, voluntary discomfort is not about suffering for no reason. It is about reminding ourselves that we are capable of more. That we can stretch, adapt, endure. And when we do, we gain something more valuable than comfort. We gain confidence. Confidence that we can survive the storm. Confidence that we can take action when it matters. Confidence that our mind, like our body, grows stronger through use. Overcome victim mentality, reclaim the power to shape your destiny. There is a trap that many of us fall into without realizing. It is the belief that life is something that just happens to us. We are at the mercy of circumstances, of people, of fate. This mindset is subtle, but dangerous. It turns us into victims of everything that does not go our way. And once we see ourselves as victims, we surrender our power. Seneca warned that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This means that it is not always the event itself that hurts us. It is the story we tell ourselves about the event. When something goes wrong, we often ask, why is this happening to me, rather than what can I do about it? This shift in questions is critical. One leads to helplessness. The other leads to growth. Stoicism teaches that we cannot always control what happens, but we can always control how we respond. That response is everything. It is the difference between staying stuck or moving forward. Between weakness and resilience. When we focus on what we can control, we take our power back. This does not mean ignoring injustice or pretending everything is fine. It means refusing to be defined by hardship. It means deciding that your response is more important than your misfortune. Marcus Aurelius faced war, plague, betrayal. Yet he chose to lead with courage and clarity. Not because life was fair, but because he believed in his ability to respond with strength. Victim mentality makes us reactive. Stoic thinking makes us reflective. It teaches us to pause, to ask deeper questions. To find meaning even in pain. When we stop asking why me and start asking what now, we begin to write a new story. One where we are the author, not the victim. This mindset shift changes everything. It restores dignity. It builds emotional resilience. It gives us direction. Life will challenge us. People will disappoint us. But the one thing that remains only ours is how we choose to see and respond to what happens. By refusing the victim role, we begin to act with intention. We live not in reaction, but in creation. And in that choice, we rediscover our strength. Be alone, a space for clarity and life direction. In a world of constant noise, solitude has become rare. Notifications, conversations, media, opinions. We are surrounded by voices that are not our own. And yet, the most important voice we can listen to is the one inside us. The Stoics understood that without solitude, we lose the ability to know ourselves. We drift, pulled by the current of others, never pausing to ask where we truly want to go. Seneca advised us to retire into ourselves as much as possible. He was not promoting isolation, but reflection. True solitude is not about being physically alone. It is about creating space in the mind. A space free from distraction, where we can examine our thoughts, choices, and values. Without this space, we are easily swept into busyness, chasing goals that are not truly ours. Marcus Aurelius wrote that nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. This is the heart of Stoic solitude. It is not escape from life, but a deeper engagement with it. When we are alone with our thoughts, we begin to notice what truly matters. We question our motives. We evaluate our direction. We reconnect with our principles. In solitude, clarity begins to form. And with clarity comes decisiveness. We begin to act not out of habit or pressure, but out of alignment with what we believe. Solitude gives us the strength to say no to what is unnecessary, and yes to what is essential. It sharpens our awareness and protects our focus. This practice is not always comfortable. Being alone can bring discomfort, even fear. But it is in that discomfort that we begin to grow. We begin to face parts of ourselves that we often avoid. And through that honest examination, we gain insight and resilience. Stoicism encourages us to make solitude a regular part of life. A daily moment of stillness. A time to listen, not to the world, but to the inner compass that guides us. In doing so, we become less reactive and more intentional. We become less scattered and more centered. Solitude is not the absence of connection. It is the foundation of clarity. And from clarity, we build a life that is both peaceful and purposeful. Live by your values, when you know what truly matters. In the rush of modern life, it is easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We chase goals that others set for us, follow paths that are expected, and wake each day reacting instead of choosing. But without clear values, we drift. We confuse movement with meaning, progress with purpose. The Stoics believed that a meaningful life begins with one simple question: what kind of person do you want to be? Seneca urged us to examine our actions against our values, not just our outcomes. He believed that true success is not what you achieve, but how you live. If you reach a goal by betraying your principles, you have not won, you have lost something deeper. To live by your values means to act with consistency. To align your decisions with your character, not with convenience. Living with values provides direction. It helps us say no to distractions and yes to what matters. It turns daily choices into acts of integrity. And when the world pulls us in different directions, our values become the compass that brings us back to center. This is not abstract. It is deeply practical. Every decision you make is a reflection of your values, or a rejection of them. The Stoics did not leave this to chance. They practiced daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote each morning and night, reminding himself of the kind of man he wanted to be. Not perfect, but principled. Not without mistakes, but always willing to return to the path. In this practice, we find power. The power to live intentionally rather than reactively. To know your values, ask: what do I admire in others? What actions make me feel proud? What compromises make me feel regret? Your answers are signals. They show you what you truly believe in, not just what you say you do. When you act from values, you gain clarity. Decisions become simpler. Life becomes lighter. You are no longer pulled by external approval, but guided by internal alignment. And when challenges come, you respond not with confusion, but with conviction. Living by your values is not always easy, but it is the path to a life that is honest, grounded, and truly your own. Think clearly, be decisive in a chaotic world. In a world flooded with noise, information, and urgency, clear thinking is a rare skill. We are constantly bombarded by opinions, updates, and demands that push us to react rather than reflect. But reaction is not the same as decision. The Stoics understood that clarity of mind is the foundation of wise action. Without it, we drift. We doubt, we hesitate. With it, we act with intention. Stoicism teaches us to separate what we can control from what we cannot. This single principle, when practiced consistently, becomes a tool for clear thinking. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is, act. If it is not, let it go. This filter clears away emotional fog and brings the situation into focus. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to judge things as they are, not as they appear through fear or desire. This practice helps us step back and question the story our emotions are telling us. Often, we are not reacting to reality, but to our assumptions, our expectations, or our wounds. Clarity begins when we question our first impulse. Thinking clearly does not mean knowing everything. It means being able to pause, assess, and choose based on reason rather than panic. In the gap between stimulus and response lies freedom, the freedom to think, to choose, to lead your own life rather than be dragged through it. Clear thinking also means asking better questions. Not why is this happening to me, but what does this moment require of me? Not what do I fear, but what do I value? These questions shift our perspective from confusion to alignment. They give us a higher vantage point from which to make decisions. The Stoics believed that virtue depends on wisdom. And wisdom begins with clarity. In a chaotic world, your ability to remain calm and see things as they truly are is a superpower. It helps you cut through noise, resist manipulation, and stay grounded in your values. You cannot always control the storm, but you can clear the fog within your own mind. And in that space of clarity, the right path often reveals itself. Inner freedom, let go of control to live peacefully. We often believe that freedom means doing whatever we want. But the Stoics taught that true freedom is not the ability to act without limits, but the ability to remain undisturbed regardless of circumstance. Inner freedom begins not with control over the world, but with mastery over the self. Epictetus said that freedom comes when we no longer desire things outside our control. As long as our peace depends on outcomes, people, or possessions, we are not free. We are chained to uncertainty. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we insist it must go our way. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means no longer allowing what we cannot control to control us. Imagine a sailor on a stormy sea. He cannot calm the wind, but he can adjust the sails. He can focus on steering. That is what Stoicism teaches. Life will bring storms. People will change. Loss will come. But how we respond, how we remain anchored, that is where freedom lives. This kind of freedom does not scream or demand. It is quiet, steady, rooted in clarity. When you let go of needing life to be perfect, you make space for acceptance. And with acceptance comes peace. You are no longer resisting reality. You are working with it, flowing with it. The more we release our grip on what we cannot change, the more power we find in the present moment. We become less reactive, more calm, more able to choose wisely. We stop trying to possess life and start learning how to live it. True freedom is not about escaping responsibility. It is about choosing our response with intention. The world may still be chaotic, but inside, we become still. And in that stillness, we find strength, clarity, and peace. Stoicism does not offer escape from life's challenges. It offers the tools to face them with strength, clarity, and purpose. When we train our minds to focus, control emotions, prepare for adversity, and live by our values, we reclaim the power to shape our lives from within. In a world that constantly pulls us outward, The Stoic path leads inward, to resilience, freedom, and a peace that no circumstance can take away.